Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in to a Monday morning live stream. Right now, we have Decentralized Science sitting at $846 million in market cap. We saw a very large surge over the weekend, which was nice and to be expected because we saw on Friday volume was starting to pick up. We kind of expected potentially maybe we might get a run over the weekend, and that is exactly what we got. Simultaneously, we are getting Bitcoin defending the line, holding support here, and starting to turn back around to be bearish again. You guys saw I was getting turning around, getting bullish again. You guys saw I was getting kind of concerned, a little bit bearish right at the end of last week, and that was, in my opinion, rightfully so, as things did not look great. But we got the RSI to hold, and we are getting Bitcoin to push back higher. Sometimes it pays to have faith, doesn't it? With that being said, I did not sell out of all of my positions and go crying for the hills. I stayed true to my conviction that we are continuing on with the bull market. I was just on the edge of my seat, and it looks like I can sit back again and relax. If we look at what's going on in DeSci right now, we will see a lot of different headlines going on, which we'll talk about all of them on the live stream today, so long as you all come in and hit the thumbs up on the video. I'm talking yes, no error. Yes, that AI agent that we talked about many months ago that went live on Solana and went up to $100 million market cap. They've partnered with Chainlink. We have Axon DAO's roadmap. We have, I believe it's Curetopia's roadmap I pulled up. If it's not Curetopia, it is and rare diseases, I think, or Cerebrum DAO. Cerebrum DAO's roadmap we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about a lot of different DeSci news today. I'm excited. We have an update kind of from Aleda. We'll go into that one in depth if that's what you guys want. I know they're getting ready to launch their tokens, so it's an exciting time in the DeSci market. I see someone saying Noble is pumping. Let's go look at Noble V2, up 57% today. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Yeah, a quick push up. Now it has a long way to go to fully recover, but that 57% is gorgeous to see. We love to see it. I'm curious as to what caused it, but we'll go through Noble blocks as well then, and we'll see what's happening. What has Delroy been cooking up? How's everyone? How's everyone's weekend? Good evening. Oh man, no. Welcome into the live stream stare. How's it going, 2Reader? Welcome in, C90, Musil, Steven, David. Happy to have you all here. I am getting a little bit sweaty already. I feel like the AC needs to turn on or something, but let's take a sip from our sponsor, water. The market's looking really good, guys. We got Bitcoin pushing up 1.2%, but even though that's not a crazy big push, that is right above a lot of the moving averages it was getting rejected by, so it is a switch up. Really nice to see. Ethereum pushing up also 1.4%. It's below its main moving average that it's been holding, but it's still holding a bullish structure here for the time being. Solana pushing up to new local highs, $214. It looks like either today or tomorrow it might crack $220, which is still a little bit of a ways to go to get back up to the $300 that it was at, but you can see this very strong and structured uptrend on Solana. I hope it does continue. We have the market right now pricing in a 25 basis point cut with a little glimmer of a 50 basis point cut potentially coming. Who knows if it's actually going to be 50 or 25. It's probably just going to be 25, but I'm excited to see regardless that the market's pricing in some cuts finally. YouTube Live sounds a little cleaner with those sound dampening. Let's go. I love to see it. I should put more up around the room so that when I'm talking it doesn't echo as much. I'm glad because honestly, audio is one of the main things that you need to have clean and clear on any kind of content that you're making. Otherwise, it's just not good to listen to. People will watch a fuzzy video, they won't listen to terrible audio. So thank you for that feedback, David. Thank you, thank you. You know what's interesting? All right, if we get right into some of this news here, I saved root. I'm gonna get rid of that. Let's go to yes, no errors post. I'll find it eventually, I swear. Official announcement from Yes No Error. Yes, No Error, Base, and Chainlink are joining forces to audit science and accelerate humanity. The Yes No Error token has officially bridged to Base, which is fantastic news because now you can get it for your Ethereum with lesser fees than if they just bridged to ETH. They were just on Solana, and they've partnered with Chainlink to create a seamless bridging contract. That's amazing. Amazing. The Chainlink team selected Yes No Error as a bridge partner to provide white glove contract and development support. Now, the people behind Yes No Error are super connected in the industry. They are two very big influencers that made Yes No Error. And then you can see right here, Chainlink adoption update. This week, there were 7 integrations of the Chainlink standard across 5 services in 6 different chains: Arbitrum, Base, BNB, BOB, Ethereum, and Solana, with Yes No Error being on the same list as World Liberty Finance, which is pretty cool to see. So shout out Yes No Error. What has the price done since then? Well, it has gone down 13%. If we go look at Yes No Error, YNE, on their chart, it's been pretty brutal, actually. Getting sold off very aggressively here in the last day, just today, down 25% from that little peak that happened. If we go look from the last spike up that they had back in July, it is down a 50%, which is not that crazy for DeSci projects. These things are super volatile. It's a little bit weird to see something that was 100 million, over 100 million, all the way down at 5 million again. That I did not foresee happening. It's making me question if it's worth getting in at these prices. If you haven't accumulated any kind of bag of Yes No Error, I think that if we do get that DeSci run, Yes No Error is likely going to be one of those that pumps back up to, or at least close to, its all-time high. Probably a chart that looks very similar to AXGT if I had to make an assumption. Not the base version though. AXGT. If we go to the Ethereum version of Axon, you'll see that Axon went crazy on its initial pump, just like Yes No Error did, skyrocketing up a lot, and then getting a pretty big sell-off until people thought that it was gonna like collapse and be over, or they just weren't paying attention. And then we saw a big push, a bleed, and then another crazy big push. And even though these pushes don't look that big, if you actually measure these moves, it's 200, 300% moves, which are huge. If you could get a 200 or 300% move on something over the span of a month or two, that is a really crazy investment opportunity. I think Axon's about to do it again, potentially even more, if we can hold above this breakout line here. And we can go look at the Axon roadmap here to see what they've been working on and what to expect over the next 12 months. How many of you guys have already seen it? Can I get a show of hands? Let me get some ones in the chat if you've already seen Axon's roadmap. Market's looking good, guys. I'm excited for where we're at right now. I really am. We have a lot of crazy cheap DeSci projects out there right now, and we had that crazy run up with Bio, and it's been consolidating and not just capitulating again. So I think in this next run up, it's not just going to be a Bio run up. It'll be more widespread throughout DeSci. People are coming into DeSci again. You go look at Aubrey, up 20% on the week, even though it's down 4% today. It's looking good, guys. Let's go, Wild Africa. Welcome. Thoughts on Isaac? Isaac's an interesting one. Isaac, however you pronounce it. Isaac's a really interesting AI agent, and I think that it's very novel and it's got a lot of exposure and eyes. I think it's more of a lotto ticket, you know? Oh, I had a little +1 here. Engage with your audience. YouTube wants me to do a poll or something right now. It keeps giving me something with the members and then taking it away. Sus. Come on, let me see what it says. Members only live stream. It wants me to go to a members only live stream. Interesting. I'm not going to do that, so we will ignore that. Yeah, I like the idea of Isaac, and I want it to pump. I think it's Isaac X, yeah. I like the idea of it, and I want it to pump I think it's more of a lotto ticket where it might bleed out into nothing or it could go absolutely bonkers. We'll see. We will see. I like Bill better. Bill Nye, the DeSci guy. Still no trading volume to get listed on Dex Screener. You hate to see it. You hate to see it. It happens to the best of them, though. Happens to the best of them. Let's go through Axon's roadmap here. All right, so the next 12 months will define Axon DAO, a blueprint for science to finally move at the speed of its ideas. Ooh, that AI, that is great. No, genuinely though, I like it. End of 2025, so what can you expect from Axon finishing out this year? Number one, the first CLU GPU is live with more to follow, which means powerful compute for researchers. If you don't know, Axon's working on a biotech cloud, basically. So they got very specialized GPUs that they've put together, some for computation and some for synthetic simulations of protein folding, right? And so that way you can combine the two of them together and get a biotech focused cloud because there's different GPUs depending on the task you're trying to do. Axon has invested a lot of money into these GPUs and is working directly with a lot of really powerful chip producers in order to get these GPUs. So very exciting to see what the future holds for that, the CLU. I think it's going to be the bread and butter for how they're really profitable. Number two, they have Axon app and the Axon Ring launch globally, letting everyone contribute real world data. So this is going to be what onboards a lot of people, what gets people into the entire ecosystem with the Cure Ring and being able to have their data on chain so that you can actually profit off of it, similar to how Genomes has it. I really like the idea behind data sovereignty. You guys know that. Everyone in crypto likes it. I think the normies will like it once they actually start making some money off of it. And then you got Axon staking, which is good to just get rid of some of the supply. So honestly, ending Q4 2025 with a bang. I think these are really good like finalizations of projects because they've been hyping stuff up for a really long time. It'll be really good to get the launch of them. You know what I mean? That's going to be good. And then Q1 2026 is when they start with new ventures. So we launch our algorithm and dataset marketplaces. The governance portal opens for community proposals. Axon app integrates with the wearables like Aura, Fitbit, and Apple Health. And the CLU starts mining biomarkers for medical insights. So this is when everything actually starts going and they begin that whole flywheel. So integrating with things like Aura and Fitbit and Apple Health, I am very excited to see. I think that's genius because then they can collect the data and reward people for the data without creating that closed ecosystem where only people with the Cure Ring works. I think it's great. Activity on the Bill Nye Telegram is unusual. We'll go check that out momentarily, Guinea. I might have to go see it soon, huh? And then Q2, researchers and builders begin to fuel new projects, so they'll start funding projects. Marketplace expands into genomic and becomes even more robust. Beautiful. Potential partnership with Genomes.io, Genomes DAO, who knows? Axon app evolves with community-driven features. Axon token gains more utility for AI and computation. That's kind of when they start becoming more and more of a DePIN project and probably become more recognized in the DePIN community. And then Q3, so this time next year, developers get an SDK to build on the Axon stack. The platform is white labeled for institutions to run their own instances. And we launch a research tooling layer for dashboards for performance tracking. We build the future of decentralized science step by step. Buckle up for an exciting year. And this is going to be great because this is when they go from just idea and partnerships and laying the foundation of everything and building the community to turning on those profit levers and actually making a fully self-sustaining company. This is where I think a lot of projects need to get to over the next couple of years to really turn into multi-billion-dollar companies and take the industry by storm. It's cool because each project is doing it in its own unique way. And everyone's got an opportunity to really put their theories to test. in order to see how to expand DeSci. And remember that a win for any DeSci project is a win for all of them, considering how tiny the marketplace is. Bring your attention back to total market cap being literally, if you added 50% to the market cap, you would get to the price of some of these deals that are happening for drugs and compounds and intellectual property. So the healthcare, the research and academia space, the biotech industry in the United States is so much bigger. Biotech market cap. Total. According to a July 2025 report, the US biotechnology market size was projected to be approximately $621 billion in 2024. So we're looking at decentralized science 1,000 times smaller. Think about that. If they did a 1,000x from here for all of decentralized science, it would be marginally bigger than what biotech is right now. And there's more, like it's likely much, much, much bigger than that. And I would argue that a lot of the DeSci projects in here are focused on things that are not 100% purely biotech. And so the opportunity for them is actually much bigger than that. Either way, there's literally, look at this, there's individual companies that are hundreds of times bigger than all of DeSci. So the room to grow over the next decade or two is astronomical. And we're literally getting in on the ground floor of this entire thing, even if it takes years to get there. All right, next one up, we have Cerebrum DAO's roadmap moving forward. We're building the Cerebrum Cortex app across 3 major releases over the next 18 months. So this is specific to the Cerebrum Cortex app, which is their brain health app that they've launched. Q4 of this year, we launched Neuron Wallet with fiat purchasing and staking. Earn rewards while supporting breakthrough research. Nice. Q1 2026, we roll out brain health index measurement and wearable device integration, track cognitive performance with personalized insights from cutting edge research. This is such a big market. Everyone's going after this wearables industry. The wearables industry, we can look at that as well. Total wearables market cap USA. We should probably go into the future a little bit more, yeah. The market is projected to grow to $47 billion by 2030 with a CAGR of 12.2%. That is crazy. That is crazy. That is a really good CAGR, right? The compound annual growth rate of 12.2%. Now, I do want to also bring up something else, which we'll talk about momentarily, but let's finish this out first. Q2 2026, we launch our decentralized study platform where you can participate in brain health research studies and earn neuron tokens, contribute to DeSci while benefiting from the results. It would be really good on Axon here, considering they're trying to lay the foundation for things like what Cerebrum are building. If Axon were to get to market really quickly, then Cerebrum could integrate their wearables into Axon and kind of build on top of Axon's infrastructure layer here, especially with the CLU that Axon is first building. We'll see how that actually ends up playing out, and make no mistake, there's plenty of room for big players in this space, and I believe that there will be. Most of what we're seeing right now in DeSci, there are all going to be pretty big players. Very good morning, grannies. Welcome in. Yes. Oh my God. Where's C90? C90 said good morning early this morning. Congratulations on the job, C90. Congratulations on the job. We love to see it. Reoccurring revenue. I'm curious how Cerebrum token is doing, Neuron. We see Axon all the time, but that's not how you spell Neuron. Neuron, Cerebrum DAO. They're on Solana, but they're also on Base and ETH. Interesting. Which one's the oldest? This one. Okay. All right. Starting to rebound out of it. Had that launch and then bleed and then giant spike. How much is this move? All in all, it was 1,000%, but it had two 300 something percent moves in it. Nice. And then this one, we had a quick 400%. I'd be curious to see if we get another 400% or even just a 300% move here. 400 brings us closer to all-time highs. Cerebrum, Neuron, very good DeSci project. Very good DeSci project. So, especially if you are a fan of cognitive health, neurological health rather. Cognitive health is going to be more in the ballpark of Aleta, which I said we would talk about. Let's pull up some of what they were bringing up. Unitree is that, yeah. We'll talk about Unitree momentarily. I'm here, sir. Filling out the background check right now. Let's go. Let's go. Okay, so Aleta Biosciences. You guys know this is one of the DeSci projects that is coming up very soon. It's going to be I think it's going to be a pretty strong launch that happens just like every now and then. Not every now and then, but every time we get DeSci to pump, we end up seeing some strong contenders launch into that momentum, right? We obviously have the bio ecosystem that everyone likes to partake in and is the biggest big dog ecosystem. But then we have a bunch of sub projects. And I don't want to call them sub projects to take away from it, but like in the ecosystem that are of DeSci, but outside of the bio protocol ecosystem, which are where we've had a lot of success with networking and getting you guys involved in their communities. Like a lot of you guys are moderators or heavily involved in some of these other projects ecosystems. What comes to mind is like WellShare, Axon, Noble, Data Lake, Genomes, you know, a lot of those really strong contenders. The tokens, not all of them do that great, but there's a lot of potential there for all of these. Aleta Biosciences looks like the next one that's going to be launching that I think has got a really good potential here to do strong. I'm also a huge fan of mental health altogether. I think the entire industry is very confused about mental health. I think that the entire way that we go about mental health, especially in the United States, is completely and utterly obliterated, broken, doesn't work in the slightest. You just drug everyone up, and I don't think that's how you do it. From what I understand, Aleta Biosciences is trying to come up with new and improved drug therapies. As you can see right here in their post, mental health affects 800 million people globally, yet most treatments are based on 50-year-old research. We're still prescribing the same pills from the 80s while ignoring breakthrough neuroscience. We're bridging that gap through accessible brain monitoring. Aleta is the future. And we actually just saw in the DeSci Schiller's Telegram, we saw, let's see it, he came in, Andreas from, was it there or was it in, it must have been in the Discord. We saw Andreas come in and post about how he is working to, let's just click on it and read it to you. My hands are actually shaking. We were literally building a way to play Pong with your brain. Not kidding. No controllers, no keyboard, just pure brain signals. But that's not the alpha. Imagine brain versus brain multiplayer games. Signing transactions only using your thoughts, controlling your dreams, enhancing your focus, much, much, much more. So they've been working with 3D printed EEG machines. I think this is really something to be looking into. Based off of how dedicated to the cause I know that their team is, I think this is going to be a banger. We'll see. I personally do not believe that you need much pharmacology in your life in order to heal your mental health. I'm saying that understanding that my entire family is on antidepressants and stuff like that, right? My entire family is heavily medicated on different drugs in order to make their mood stable. And I think that's like being dehydrated, having a headache, and taking ibuprofen to deal with the pain instead of just drinking water. It's way more complicated than that, and I'm not saying that people don't need medications, but I just firmly believe if you clean up your diet and stop eating the poison that they feed you and stop drinking the poisoned water that they give you and actually start going outside, working out, I think most people's mental health problems will be eradicated. Not everyone, but most. Either way, the space needs an update. Somebody needs to install a new software package to the mental health space. And so if Aleda is going to do it, hell yeah. I'm curious that I know a lot of people have strong opinions on that subject as well. I imagine most of you guys agree with me that you can kind of get rid of most mental health issues by eating better and exercising and going outside and like doing things that are good for you, but I know it's complicated. What does a negative funding rate mean again? Negative funding rate for crypto coins. Negative funding rate means people are shorting like crazy, right? Ah. Okay. I'm looking this up right now because somebody posted this screenshot here in the DeSci Shillers of bio with a lot of negative funding rates for people with bio. So the short people are paying, people who are short perpetuals on bio right now are paying a pretty high fee in order to be short, which is good for us. But there's a lot of people who are also long, just depending on the platform. So I don't think it's as cut and dry as that. I do think a lot of people are likely short bio right now. Next stop, let's attach the GLP-1s. No, kidding. Just kidding, guys. Just kidding. No, I mean, a lot of people love GLP-1s. It's pretty good, but attack the GLP-1s. Absolutely, diet and exercise. It's big. It's big, and there's room for medication, right? There's a lot of room for medication. I don't want to take that away from people. I, for one, like when I was having my mental health bad mental health days, I was doing microdosing with psilocybin, and that's the medication I chose with the proper like mental models and therapies in order to get out of it, and it helped drastically. So there's plenty of room for therapies. I just don't necessarily know that we need everyone on therapies forever, right? I don't do it anymore. It's done. I fixed it. You don't need them forever. Okay, let's move on. It's 12:30, so we're halfway through the live stream. I do want to say to everyone who is here, I appreciate all of you guys being here. I spent the weekend really considering all of my options as far as content is concerned, and I was brainstorming like crazy with DeSci content. And Amanda and I came to the conclusion that I need to be pumping out DeSci videos, like back to the basics, baby. Like literally not deep researching, because most of you guys already, like, we can save that for live streams and stuff like that. But I need to be making some beginner friendly breakdowns of the DeSci projects that are there and what exactly they're doing and what they're up to, with news and everything incorporated, yes, but I need to be explaining to the masses what's going on with DeSci. Every time that I have taken that vantage point and pushed forward with good content like that, it's corresponded with pretty good upticks in decentralized science, because I think not many people are making beginner-friendly content for DeSci. So I need to be the person that does it, and I am excited AF, basically, to pump our bags, baby. I am excited AF to get making more and more content, so that I can actually put our industry here on the map for crypto, and people will see it for what it is. Because I've seen so many people now, and I don't know why I have Unitree on here talking about it, but I've seen a lot of people, namely there was one person, I should say, that was like, DeSci has no utility and it doesn't make sense. It's just a bunch of science nerds trying to grift money to fund their research. And I was like, you, my friend, are greatly mistaken on what's going on. You're greatly mistaken on the industry and the opportunity at hand. You did fire short form TikToks. Thank you, Beagle. I appreciate that. I like that content is good too. It's easy to understand. And so low key, I think what we've come to the agreement on, Amanda and I at least, is that I need to pick up the phone and record the short form content again and do like rapid fire 1 minute breakdowns of what each project is. Like then get into some little bit of longer form content explaining some of the news and talking about my thoughts and doing breakdowns and analysis and everything on these projects. But yeah, what do you guys think? Can you share your story about working biotech, the COVID shot deal, all of it? I've only heard it once or twice. You're right, David. Yeah. I need to explain why I'm in this position to talk about DeSci to everyone. Literally had a good job leading a team of scientists in Boston, and they got fired for not taking that damn mRNA vaccination, which now RFK has unrecommended it from the federal government. We've got tons of research now proving that it is in fact not safe to be taking that, at least if you are of healthy age, right? Old age people, morbidly obese people, people with chronic disease, they should probably take it because they're already at risk, but not healthy people. So it's good to see a little bit of redemption arc on that. But yeah, so that's what I think is going to be that. Not I think I'm hyped up to get back to the basics there and making good content like that. It was my favorite time to be making content, and I feel like I got away from that with all of the crazy short-term trades and small market opportunities that we got sucked into, right? Not to say that chasing those pump science tokens is not fun. It is fun, and we're going to keep doing that because it's fun. But that's not where the root of all of the content needs to be, right? And that's where I felt like I had been focused more and more in on, and I didn't like the direction it's going. So we're getting back to the basics, baby. We're going crazy. Don't mention I know. You gotta say keywords. The Roni Rona. Help us new guys. Exactly, grannies. This is for you, Granny. This is for you, Granny's Garden. We're gonna be making basic content. The reason it's going to be under a minute, it'll be like Research Hub explained in under a minute. And it's going to be that short so I can post it on YouTube because YouTube Shorts gets lots and lots of views. Lots of views. Let me pull this up so that you guys can see some of this stuff. Not on this one actually. We'll go here. Boom, boom, boom. I hope that this does not show you things that we're not supposed to show you. But there's lots of views that happen with shorts. For example, I made this short in March of 2023. Let me just make sure that there's nothing here that I can't show you guys. Yeah, that looks fine. I made this short here in March of 2023, and it still, to this day, gets views. 83,000 views about how HBAR is uninvestable. We got the Bobby A. Althoff crypto scam, 32,000 views. ISO 2022 explained simply, 11,000 views. These are very basic short form videos that are like honestly not that great. I think we can do better. I think we can do better. And they get thousands of views, and it's pretty good. And I haven't posted a crazy amount of them, but YouTube Shorts gets just as many views as TikTok Shorts. And since I'm banned from TikTok, I might as well do it on YouTube. And of course, we'll post them on X, and we'll make it a beginner-friendly series so that people that are just getting familiarized with DeSci have a starting point. Start going on home tours in anticipation of Bag Holder Challenge is successful though. Ty Lopez style. You see this pool here? This location is because I held Research Coin. I found out about you through TikTok. Let's go, Beagle. Let's go. Maybe we should start another TikTok channel too and just stay on the DL. But anytime I post stuff on TikTok, I get flags on my account now. They literally flagged me for like Homeland Security shit. That's crazy. I think it's just internally in TikTok. I don't think Homeland Security is actually flagged on my existence, but like, I don't know. It's crazy. Anyways. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. No, you're right. And let's do that, because let me finish up with what I wanted to talk about. And then the last 10 minutes or so of the live stream, we're going to talk about the bag holder to homeowner portfolio challenge that we started 2 years ago, 3 years ago, ended because we got so small in the coins. It was exactly what I was just talking about. I got so sucked into the micro caps and those tiny, tiny coins that none of them were listed on CoinMarketCap. So the bag holder to homeowner portfolio challenge, I couldn't do anymore because none of them were listed. I couldn't incorporate them because it was a CoinMarketCap folder. I'm probably going to restart the portfolio challenge, clean house on what I am holding in it, and reallocate what funds are left. I want to continue onwards so that the integrity of the challenge remains, like continue on with that portfolio. So whatever's left in that portfolio, we will continue forward with. But it's time to reset it and start off fresh for the final innings here. And honestly, I'll probably start incorporating some stocks into it too, if that's where the market ends up going. If you pull up the pump science site on some of the tokens, the amount of tokens burned is the same as the market cap. What does that mean exactly? Is it bullish? So I don't know exactly. They could be glitching out, but that would mean that they've burned 50% of the supply. If the amount of burn is the same as the market cap, that means that they've burned half the supply, which would be very bullish. Yes. Okay. Look at this. Genomes.io. This is what I'm talking about, right? This is the prime example of what I'm talking about. Most people don't know what Genomes.io is, but we do. And I got so sucked into you guys just knowing about it that I never kind of explained the basics again. So you guys are going to have to get used to it if we want exposure for DeSci. They say, we are proud to launch the first of our posters explaining to you everything we build in clear visuals, aka we are dumbifying it down for us. Thank you, Genomes. As requested by many, here's all you need to know about how and when we use blockchain technology. I hope you like it. So, first up, we have Jack's genomic data is stored in our virtual vault. That vault is on chain. Yes. It is not visible on chain. You can't see the contents of the vault, but you can see that the vault exists on chain. Jill wants to do a DNA study. She submits her query to genomes.io. Genomes.io shows the query to the vault holders to see if they're interested. So they take Jill's request for certain segments of the DNA and they say, hey, everyone with a vault, here's your newsletter on current opportunities to make money from your DNA. Would you like to partake in this study? Jack is interested and gives permission. So an encrypted snippet of his DNA becomes accessible, just like an email, right? When you send emails, it's encrypted. You guys get that. Encryption is very common knowledge at this point, but it's like a virtual DNA email gets sent out from Jack's vault to Jill. It doesn't mean that everything that Jack's ever written in his email goes to Jill. It just means that one little snippet of information goes to Jill. Jill's query will enter the vault via encrypted access. The access will be recorded on the blockchain so you can see exactly what's going on. That's cool. Only the results of the query is sent back to Jill. No genomic data ever leaves the vault. That's even cooler, actually. So the genomic data never even leaves. It's just that the query goes and grabs what's needed and then takes the results back. That's even better. Jill can send the query as many times as she likes, with each access being recorded. Jack will receive compensation for sharing encrypted access to his vault, and throughout this whole process, Jack remains in absolute control and full ownership of his data. So it's not even that so my initial example there, I take that back. It's not even that the email contains any of the genomic data, because I guess someone could just query every part of your genome and steal the whole thing. It's that Jill is sending to Jack's vault a question and the answer to the question is being sent back. That's even cooler. Guys, that's even more powerful. We love that. And then Sarah here said, perfect. Does Jack get to know the outcome of Jill's DNA study? And Genomes said, yes. We love that. We will save and we will quote post that, but I will come back to it in a bit so that I can post something thoughtful, because I think this is a lot more, I think this has a lot bigger future impact than people fully understand. Okay, let's see through the last couple things I had here. We have the evolution of Genesis Labs here. So Genesis Labs is becoming similar. They're going to launch on DAOs.fund to get a treasury to launch more compounds on pump.science. So it is very similar to Eterna, that other project that's also doing it. I think this is going to be the genesis of a lot of future projects going forward for pump.science. Again, because individual drug compounds don't have a crazy long lifespan for pump science. Some of them will, but most of them will not. And so creating these portfolio companies, if you will, is the natural route for any drug dev, drug cartel needs drug lords. Anyone who's actually serious about this, this is the logical next step for what they're doing. So the troll drug dev is creating Genesis Labs. I would watch carefully. I think it'll be a good one. And then DeSci Boston is taking place this weekend, September 13th. Interestingly enough, I will be in Boston September 13th. I don't know if I'll be able to go to DeSci Boston, but it would be sick if I could show up for the later half of it, probably the last couple of hours if I can. That'll be really fun, and I'll try to, just because I'm going to be there, and the likelihood, the odds of that having happened are super, super slim. And then I was going to get into the macro side of some stuff here, showcasing that Scott Benson says that Biden-era job tally will be revised down by 800,000 jobs last week. Goldman Sachs is calling for 550 to 950,000 cuts in the benchmark revision for next year. If it lands, the labor market narrative gets rewritten, and it could swing the Fed between 25 and 50 basis points shock in September. Make no mistake, guys, the markets don't like being wrong, okay? So if the Fed were to come in and cut interest rates by 50 basis points without any kind of repricing in the markets prior, so in 9 days, if we don't see this shift to 50 basis points, it's going to be bad. The market will not like that. If the market can expect it prior, the market will be okay with it for the most part. But yeah, we'll see what actually ends up happening. I just wanted to share that the job market is super, super, super weak. And where are we? Okay. Last thing I want to talk about before we talk about the bag holder to homeowner portfolio challenge. While I'm talking about it, I would like to see ones in the chat if you guys remember that challenge. 0 if you've never heard of it before, and we'll put a 3 if you don't care. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, what was I doing here? We were gonna go to robot. You guys have been watching. Where's robot? There it is. You guys have been watching as this crypto skyrockets. It is the robotics simulation on chain, right? From virtuals. It's now up 1,300% from the bottom. That's not where we got it. I shared it in the Discord right at here at 0.003, I believe. So it's now up almost 200%, which is a really strong push. This is the robotics industry starting to take off. Robotics are heating up like crazy right now, and there's not a lot of players in the robotics field that are worth paying attention to, okay? In crypto, we have a couple micro caps like this, which I'm positioned in, which I've shared with you guys on other live streams, which are doing really, really well, and I think will continue to do really well as the narrative shifts away from AI into robotics a little bit more. One company, however, that is incredibly prominent across the entirety of the robotic space. Not Boston Dynamics. Uniswap. Is it? It's not Uniswap. It's this one. Unitree. Sorry, I don't know why I combined it with Uniswap and some other random thing, but Unitree here. Okay, the exclusive Chinese robotics firm Unitree is eyeing a $7 billion IPO by the end of this year. It would likely happen on the Hong Kong stock market, but I imagine we as Americans will get some sort of exposure into it. Unitree, guys, is the robotics manufacturing company that you see all of those videos of people like Chinese people or Asians just kicking those robots down on the ground. All those robots basically are from Unitree, okay? This is like one of the premier manufacturers of robots, humanoid looking robots. And so for them to go public in an IPO is going to be massive. I was reading this article about it, and so far this year we've had $7 billion in IPOs from Asia, and it looks like this one would double that and set us up for a pretty record-breaking year for IPOs. At least Asian IPOs. So I think this will be a really good one. Honestly, if I can find a way to get into it, I will, but probably not until a year after. I have a feeling all the IPOs are going to tank. We're seeing a lot, like Gemini is probably going to be IPOing here pretty soon. We're seeing a lot of companies IPO. So you gave up a job, not taking the jab, respect level just tripled. Let's go, Vibra. Let's go. W Vibra. Is this the same one you mentioned last week? Yes, it is, Grannies. Yes, it is. All of these. We had Robot, we have Brew, and Show. And they all pumped pretty aggressively. Those three robotics ones. 30% here today. We talked about them a couple days ago. It's just time for robots. I don't know what else to say. It's just time for robots to take hold. I don't know how big these will get, but the field is not that big. If you come here, you go look for robotics, and you go to the robotics category, which was just added, there's not that many projects on it yet. It's like early days for DeSci. Remember that? Remember how easy it was to spot the winners back in the early days of DeSci? You could just research a couple projects and find them. Even now, over the weekend, they added a lot more. There were only 5 projects on this on Thursday or Friday, and now it's starting to pop off a lot. So we got Robot, we got Brew, we got Show, we got Peak. Peak's the biggest one. Peak is kind of like their bio. We'll see. I'm probably going to be adding these into the bag holder to homeowner portfolio challenge, which I'll likely do on CoinGecko. Let's go to CoinMarketCap. I have not seen the bag holder to homeowner portfolio challenge in many, many months. So we'll see how it looks. ASML looks good. ASML looks really good. I was researching them pretty aggressively the other day. You know what stock looks incredibly good that I'm probably going to scoop a bag of pretty soon? Either TSM, just for the Taiwanese semiconductors, or Adobe. Do you know Adobe is growing their AI segment of the company? Where is it? Adobe's been growing their AI segment of the company at something like 30% growth rates the last year or two. That is crazy. Adobe's been growing 10 to 15% on the bottom line of the company, but their AI segment has been growing like crazy. The biggest, this is all I'm going to say about Adobe, just because I want to get into the bag holder to homeowner portfolio challenge, and I know that you guys are here for crypto and DeSci, not necessarily stocks, but Adobe right now is down 50-something% from its all-time highs, right? It's been 4 years since it's put in a new all-time high, and it's down 50%. This company has 90% profit margins. It is growing double digits, and everyone is afraid that AI is going to take over their market share because of things like Midjourney or just being able to prompt ChatGPT and get an image out of it. And while over time, yes, if they don't pivot, Adobe would become kind of obsolete with the AI infrastructure that's coming out for image generation. But you know what one of the main problems is with the image gen? Is that if I ask ChatGPT to create an image, it is just stealing things from other images online that might not be allowed to be included in the image it creates. And so there are potential risks for large scale corporations that are using promotional content created by things like Midjourney because they're not following proper copyright protocol. Adobe's big AI push that they've been doing internally that has been growing at that like 40% growth rate is an AI image generating model that is trained on like copyright free images. So it is creating images that big corporations can use, and they're growing insanely in that department. So this whole, my point there to say is that the market is super irrational about AI taking over Adobe's jobs here, and it's just not the case. It's just not the case at all. Adobe is growing very good and growing their AI segment. Photoshop has been using AI and image gen right in the app. Not crazy good, but it works. Exactly. C90, exactly. They have the biggest moat out of almost any company in the entire world. Nobody's, unless like Meta is the only other company that I think has a bigger moat than Adobe. And yeah, the same thing happened to Meta a couple years ago. The same exact thing happened to Meta. Where is Meta? Everyone was like, oh my God, Meta is over. Meta is done. This is crazy. I don't even remember why people thought Meta was over. It was absolutely ludicrous. And now look at it. It went from $90 to $800 in a couple of years. But either way, bag holder to homeowner portfolio challenge. Let's log in. We'll go like this so I don't accidentally expose anything. It has been a long time since I have looked at this. So let's see how it's doing. Ugh. Oof. Oh, we were so good. We were keeping up so well, and then I just abandoned it. And it is no longer keeping up well at all. That is not my true cost basis, okay? Worst performer, Dynex. No! Best performer, the dollar. Oh man. All right, it's time for the revitalization arc. So we'll be going through and we will be clearing out this portfolio. I was using things like I don't even remember what this was for, USDT, $500 in USDT. I was using USDT to signify coins that weren't yet on CoinMarketCap that I was putting money into. Like, yeah. So we will go through this and we will reassess and probably sell everything and just reposition new things, but over here on CoinGecko, so that I can have all of the coins, because things get listed to CoinGecko quicker than they get listed to CoinMarketCap. But yeah, in my opinion, it's because Facebook was actually a mainly dead platform, and then upon them finding out themselves, they started to implement other things in platforms, and platforms do a bounce back. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I think that's what everyone kind of ignored, was that like, the company Meta, the company Facebook, they own Facebook, they own Instagram, they own WhatsApp, they own Oculus, they own a lot of other things out there. They have their own glasses, AR glasses companies. They have a lot of other companies, and it's been several years since I've done a huge deep dive into Meta, but like, the market was discounting it as if they had only owned Facebook, and they were like, look at Facebook's growing slower, and they pivoted to the metaverse, and the metaverse isn't a thing. And it's like, yeah, but Meta, the company, is growing 20% year over year, and their profit margins are like 70%. And it's like, bruh, it doesn't even matter. They could literally lose Facebook, and the company is still undervalued at this price. Like, it was crazy. And I think the same thing applies to Adobe right now. Like, Adobe is a very strong AI company, and the market is discounting it as if it's not an AI company. And it's like, bruh, are you stupid? You guys see it. You guys get it. Got to get out of Chlor AI. That is trash. Thanks, JJ. I know. There's a lot of stuff in here that is not good. Like Eagle AI is good. Research Coin is good. Jupe, I got out of that trade a long time ago for like a marginal gain or a marginal loss. I don't remember. ICP, I'm getting out of that thing. I'm sorry. I gave it my best effort. I'm getting out of that thing. Axon, I'll be keeping that. But the percent gain, yeah, we'll see. Dynex, I love Dynex. I can't believe I'm down 90% on it from the first time I bought it. Oh my God, that's not even the first time. I bought it for 73 cents. What the fuck? That is crazy. I don't think I bought that in my portfolio at 73 cents. But this is eye-opening. God damn, who the fuck buys that at 73 cents? You psycho. Poseidon, love it. Down 83%. Need to turn this into a couple $100 position. We'll see. If any and all suggestions, I'm open to it. NFNT, I took profits on it, but I never took profits in this portfolio. Like I took profits on it a while ago. Data Lake, love it. Genomes, love it. We'll see. We got to reassess. I want to put some robotic stuff in there, and I just want to clean up the whole portfolio. Okay, here's the thing. Here's something you have to consider, Patrick. You're looking at it from a young point of view. AI is a thing from my age point of view. AI is a thing from my age point of view. Adobe is just a thing on your computer. It just handles flashes. Just handles flash for your video. You got to remember a lot of people are older and that's all they remember of Adobe. They don't know or care what it does. AI. Exactly, Steve the Canadian. That is my point precisely. We can dig into it and see that they're actually a very strong AI company, Adobe. But the boomers running the hedge funds with all the money are like, oh my God, have you guys heard of this thing called Midjourney? Midjourney makes photos and Photoshop is cooked. Photoshop's cooked. Oh my God, we got to get out of it. And it's like, hold on, guys, hold on. Have you seen a Midjourney created image? Ain't no company using that thing right now. Maybe in 5 years, probably in 5 years, yes, it will all be created from AI, all images and all marketing campaigns and stuff in like 5 years, right? Maybe 7 because of laggards and everything. Adobe's got years to perfect their stuff. Nothing right now is that scary, but the fear of the unknown is making people act irrationally. I will end it on this, okay? Adobe PEG ratio. For anyone who does not know, there is something in the stock market and in valuing companies. This isn't even accurate. This is not accurate from what the math was on their last earnings, but I'll explain it in a second. There's something in the stock market and with valuing growth companies known as the price divided by earnings ratio. So you take the price of a company per share and you divide it by the earnings per share, okay? Or you can take market cap and total earnings and you'll get a ratio. And this ratio helps you know how expensive or not expensive the overall stock is or the overall stock market is, right? If you take it a step further, because if something's growing really quickly, you're willing to pay a higher price for it because it will be quicker to get to that realized value of earnings. Does that make sense? So if something's growing at 10% a year, you're likely only going to pay a 10 times multiple for that money. Versus if something's growing at 100% a year, you're likely to pay 100 times earnings because of how much quicker, like that ratio is still the same. That's still a 1-to-1 ratio of expenses. That's where the price to earnings growth ratio comes in here, or the PEG ratio. That's how you can know, roughly speaking, there's a lot more that goes into it, but that's how you can know overall how expensive a stock is, by the PEG ratio. If you're only looking at growth ratios. If you do out the math based off of their last earnings report that they just put out and future expectations of growth, Adobe is sitting under a 1 PEG ratio right now, okay? That's stupid. Look at Palantir, the glory child for AI stocks. This is the golden child for artificial intelligence. It's got a PEG ratio of 8. 1.5. That's insanely overvalued. But regardless, Adobe under 1. 1 is a bench line. 2 is like a really good company. Over 2 is arguably overpriced, right? So under 1, Adobe is a steal. Adobe could literally grow like 5% annually moving forward for the next 5 years, and their stock would probably go to $1,000. That's not gonna happen. I thought Adobe was clay. Oh God. Okay guys, can you explain more about Axon DAO's GPUs? Of course, Timu, of course. I'm sorry I didn't see that earlier. And then we will end the live stream. But you know, I'm assuming everyone here knows what AWS is, Amazon Web Services. Okay. If Patrick says Adobe one more time, Adobe, 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 mods, get him out of here. You guys know what AWS is, Amazon Web Services. It is a cloud infrastructure for online-based companies to host their compute in. All right, very simply put, there's a lot more to it, obviously, but companies, like if you wanted to host a website, you would likely host the website itself in the cloud on AWS, or there's a lot of other things out there that you could host it on. But if you wanted to create a game that people could play, you're going to put that game on the cloud through AWS. The same thing is what Axon is doing here. What Amazon has done, what Google's done with their cloud server, what all of the cloud server providers have done is just go into the desert and make these giant computers. These giant data centers with tons of GPUs and CPUs and whatever else you need to make a cloud server. They've just put it out in the desert, or ideally in like Antarctica or something so that it'd be cold. I know they're not doing that, but they're just these giant data centers, these giant warehouses full of computers. Axon's doing that now. Axon's gonna do that, but instead of just broadly generalized computers, they found NVIDIA, and I believe it's TSM, Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing. I believe they are working with them to create hyper-specific GPU combinations and chip combinations for biotech. So 2 chips, basically, one for the computation and one for the protein folding and the simulated experiments. I think I wrote it down from the call that they had. I don't know where it is. I wrote it down somewhere, but I think I put that notebook away. And so if a biotech company wants to run simulated experiments, let's say for a new drug, that compound that they want to launch, but they don't want to pay for they don't want to pay for trials right now in animal models because that can be super expensive. They want to just test out the model in a simulated environment to see if that compound is going to work out correctly. Does that make sense? Like, let's say you wanted to test out methylene blue on mice, right? You could do it on pump science, but you're giving up a lot of ownership over the IP behind that. So let's say you don't want to do that, and you don't have the funds right now to go test methylene blue or whatever your compound is on mice because it costs like 30 grand to do that. You could go and simulate the experiment on Axon servers, and then get the results, see that it is promising, and then go raise the funds to do it. Or maybe you don't. Oh, well, I'm not a sponsor. Or maybe you don't. Maybe it's not promising and you know not to look into that anymore. And that can go as far as the eye is conceived. Axon's trying to become the compute layer for biotech. And that's what the CLU is. That's what their GPUs are. That makes sense? So they're buying data servers and they're filling it with custom GPUs. I think it's genius. I think it's genius because that allows for all, like, let's say Bioprotocol launches, like their launchpad launches a new token with a new DAO focused on dog years, which I know they are. And let's say instead of testing a bunch of different compounds on dogs, they're like, let's just simulate them on a cloud server. And instead of just going and simulating it on AWS, they can go to a specialized cloud server and simulate it there. and that would be through Axon. So I think it's genius. I love it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, your time is your most valuable asset. Hopefully this was worth investing it into. I appreciate all of you guys being here with me, and I will see you all in the next live stream. I'll keep you all posted on when that's going to be though, because like I said, I'm going to be trying to pump out as much content as humanly possible. And I'm super amped up for it, but I'm going to have to potentially buy some of my time back here. It takes a lot of time to go live and create something worth watching, so we'll see. I'll keep you all posted though. Thanks for the information. Interesting indeed. Yes, it is, Timu.